So, kicking off with Hyun Nam, who's an interdisciplinary media artist and researcher working at the intersection of art, technology, science, and philosophy. She earned her M.F.A. in Art and Technology Studies from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and is currently a Ph.D. candidate in Media Studies at the State University of New York at Buffalo and an assistant professor in the Department of Transmedia and the director of the computer gaming program at Syracuse University. So please take it away, Sue.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Totally.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Hi, my name is Hyun Nam, and today I'll be presenting Game Engines as a memory shaping agency. So, responding to the key questions asked by this event, this symposium, I will examine how Game Engine empowered an artist and designer to build a world that increase a creative, that includes a creative system of rules and spaces and interactions. So this talk will focus on how game engine bridge and mediate the human and technology cognitions through the making process and allow artists to embody lived experience in a immersive virtual space. So to examine the conceptions of game engines, I first acknowledge that the linguistic and logical representations influence of shaping the idea of the object in the word and often limit us to see the infinite possibilities. So, as a compound of game and engine, it might sound like a foregrounding the engineering method in making process. And this representation overshadows its creative and experiential aspect. So, in fact, since their advent in the 90s, game engines have facilitated and fostered independent game development, which introduced many creative and unconventional forms of video games. Logical representation and scientific knowledge have led us to believe that the mechanisms of a human mind is similar to a computer. Because I'm talking about this memory and cognition a lot, I wanted to kind of like clarify why this is important for me. And the computer like translate the sensory information and gives a performance to the output like a computer. So, however, actually, the neural activities are much more complex than the algorithmic processing, and a human cognition is an open system, so interacting with the world forever. My project challenges such as linguistic and logical representation to highlight the significance of the non-linguistic experiences, especially living in a highly networked digital society. So I will introduce the three projects focusing on three key points in the context to address the game engine's possibility to explore non-linguistic experiences, as well as their roles to close the gap between human and technological cognition. So embodying the diverse perspective beyond the logical and linguistic representation ultimately allows us to overcome and challenge the epistemological frameworks, which often become an ideology. So in my work using a game engines, I investigate the discrepancy between biological and technological memories and interconnectivity of the mind and the word, and rethink the and expand the materiality of the literature. The first project, the Surrogate Being, shows how game engines can mediate the discrepancy between the biological and technological memories, often faded and distorted over time as affected by our experience and unceasing interaction with the world. The images stay unchanged unless we are they're disrupted or manipulated and deleted. Parallel digital copy of our experience. That's what I believe. That we both generate and consume. We often discover this dissonance between the imperfect yet rich, profound memories and unaffected, almost objective digital information. So digital information is not always objective, but is close to the objective information, and that's what I believe about the digital information. So this interactive and navigable 3D project investigate the cognitive gap between the human experience and digital information. Using a game engine Unity, I mediate this party through the process of recreating my hometown in Korea. And so this is the image of my hometown and a Kakao map road view, which is similar to the Google map in Korea, and recreation of the same place based on my memories and road view images. So I often record memories of one specific area in my hometown where I lived in my childhood, and I believe that the nostalgic image in my mind was intense and concrete. But when I decided to recreate the place in a virtual space, I realized that the vivid image comes from my reminiscence with various sensory experiences, such as the mood, smell, and temperature, not merely from the visual element. So visual reference from online, such as the Google Street View or Kakao Map that we're looking at here, were at odds with my memories because the crisp and disinterested digital image provided by the interactive map did not evoke the rich and profound feeling I had for the place. So I recreated a virtual hometown in 3D space as a place to mediate the discrepancy by weaving the complex and effective feeling in my imperfect yet rich memories and non-conscious information of the indifferent digital images. And I have video hopefully play smoothly. Okay, so able to not only imbue the digital environment with my personal reminiscent feelings about the space, but also still leave a space for audience to experience the space and build their own relationship with the virtual space, the virtual place. So I went through the different version of interactions in this project, and the most recent version uses OpenCV. So this is actually the kind of like the earlier version, interacting with the distance of the audience's body. This version is actually using just a face tracking to make the interaction more natural, like they're looking into a word in a box. So when the audience is interacting with the word, this word displays this distorted image that represents intangible, non-conscious cognition flowing through my memories and data. While creating the virtual world using a game engine, I realized the various levels of a digital experiences become a significant source of the perceptual sensory input as well. So, and it influences shaping my memories of the experience in the real world. So it was like a feedback loop because based on my memory, I create the environment and the virtual environment affect my memories. So it's kind of like feedback loop. And the process and immersive experiences could be a unique to the independent creators using a game engine who are empowered to build a world. And I believe such making experiences are distinct from the gameplay experience. So this idea can be supported by the Francisco Varela's Inactivism, which claims that our mind constantly interact with our environment and recognize the world and transforms it on the basis of the various experiences we continue to have. So the world and the mind are not pre-given, but inactive through the unceasing interaction between them. So by documenting the process of adapting myself to a new environment and game space, I created this new project called Inactive Scene since last year. And through the process, I observed how parallel this experience using a game engine can engage and intervene in my cognitive process. So the Inactive Scene was created during my 1 month residency at the laboratory in Spokane, Washington. And I explored a new urban environment and collected images both digitally and biologically every day. So digitally means taking photos, and biologically try to kind of like remember the feels of the space. And simultaneously, I digitally recreate the experience, the world in a game engine to carefully open and examine the underlying interaction between the mind and the word. My experience in the city, in a digital space, in a real world, words. So by just opposing my experience in a digital space for months, the project intervenes in the process of the building my memories. Also mediated the disparity between the disinterested digital images and unstable yet rich effective memories of the same space. So this is an ongoing project, and then I just got a message that I need to wrap up. So I'm kind of like gonna move really quickly here and I show the video. Um, it's just a work in progress, and this is the real-time rendering from the Unity, and kind of like showing that how this is constructed in the virtual space. So played in a storefront, in a smoking, and a lot of people who interacted with this work were people in the living in the city, so they kind of like found this uncanny familiarity with this virtual environment. So I'm gonna just briefly introduce my last project. So I also used the game engine to expand the like traditional form of art and literature. So this project dismantles the traditional relationship between the literature and the materiality. So this is a plan to be published along with the forthcoming poetry book, Fast Fire, and the game character overcomes the personal challenges by completing the book in the game. So in this way, the inscription of the printed book becomes as being interwoven with stories of the reading poems. So um, and some asset design we developed last this summer actually. And so I'm gonna just wrap up here with just a quick summary. So I presented the diverse forms of the interactive project created with the game engines to show their possibilities, not merely as a tool or apparatus as an but as an artistic medium. So to be more specific, game engines for art making here can mediate the discrepancy between the real world experience and digital data, and also become a part of the expanded cognition and the interaction. Sorry, it's incomplete sentence. But and also finally challenge the traditional format of art and literature. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sue. That was really, really awesome. Sorry to kind of like hurry along, but we do need to keep moving. But we can come back for some questions maybe while I'm just setting up, or should we keep going?
I think questions while we're getting the other folks set up is a good idea. Sue, I loved your work.
Thank you.
It was so good. I have so many questions, and you and I are researching so much at the same space. Are you publishing any papers or writings about your experiments with cognition that I could go and read?
Yeah, I have a few conference paper published, but actually I'm working on just finalizing my dissertation. So that's gonna be probably the best place, but it's not done yet, but I'll be happy to share.
Maybe we could back and forth, because I'm writing mine right now and I'm like, how do I talk about expanded cognition and distributed cognition, and how do I approach like all of these different forms of thinking within an arts context? And it's really life affirming to see another games person doing the same who also has a literature background.
That's awesome. I'd love to just like talk more about this with you.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, I may ping you after, or during the conference at some point.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, hi, this is Dave. I just wondered, I guess there's been some research that suggests that prosthetic intelligence or prosthetic memory, right, having our devices nearby, that we lose the ability to recall when I wish I could pull it up, but one study suggested that the the subject's awareness of the proximity of their phone to them negatively impacted their ability to recall. Like some part of their brain that knew that the prosthetic memory was nearby disengaged. And what that says, if anything, about your work.
I think, so that's kind of like exactly what I wanted to kind of like say, like when I said like a parallel, kind of like a cognition, like a parallel experience of like a copy. But I think like what I'm trying to do in my research is not seeing it as a negative kind of like side of like living with the technology. It's more like where we need to adapt to. Then like we kind of constantly try to find what's our role as a human. So like if technology can take care of that, that's fine. But like feelings, like my experiences, kind of like living in the like my hometown as a child, and like all this like very complex sense is not really transferable. I think so. I think like that's why I'm trying to focus on this area, like just for, I mean, like not just for human, but like where we have definitely like have a strength in, like in terms of the cognition. So I think like I'm trying to accept that like technology is kind of like a part of my body and my part of my cognition. And then like where do I stand? That's kind of like the question I'm asking to myself constantly.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.